There are 2 separate reward options for Queelin's questline, and you can only choose one per playthrough, like this Flame Art Greatsword. I'll show you both outcomes. So you need to actually defeat Queelign as an invader. He'll invade your world in 2 separate locations. So it doesn't matter which order you do it in. I'm going to show you the Belarut location, as this is just near the starting area anyway. Later in the guide, once we've defeated the 2 spirit versions of Queelign, we need to find the real Queelign locked in Shadow Keep through the church district. I'll show you. And you need to find 2 items. I'm going to show you where to get these 2 items. The Iris of Grace and the Iris of Occultation. I'll put a link in the description where you can also find another set of those items as well, in case you've already used them. Queelin's next spot where he invades you is just past Ence's Castle at the Church of the Crusade. As soon as you enter, he's going to invade. When you defeat him here, he'll drop a key that we'll need later, and he's going to drop an Ash of War, which you can apply to this weapon, and you'll see him use it as well, and it's what I showed at the beginning of the clip. So that's one of the rewards. So once you defeat him, you get the Spirit Ash of War, Flame Skewer, and you're also going to get a key, which I'll show you where you need to use that key as well. So the prayer room key. Next we'll need to go to Shadow Keep, but we need to take the side entrance. So from Bonnie Village, head to the church district. Now you'll notice this area is flooded, so I'm going to quickly show you where to go to lower the flood waters. Now you need to hold down your run and jump for a lot of these jumps to make it across, or you're going to fall down into the water. Up on the roof here there's a flame guy, so be careful, but if you're quick enough you'll make it across. So make sure you're running and then jump. Now up here there's a hole, jump down onto some beams and down through another hole. So when we jump down here, if we go to the right is where we're going to go to lower the flood waters. If you'd gone left, that's where Queelign is locked behind the door, what we're going to use that key for. But there's 2 items we need to get first, because that way you're going to get 2 options when you speak to Queelign. If you don't have these 2 items, well, you're not going to get the 2 options to select from when you actually go in that locked door and speak to Queelign. Now we've lowered the flood waters in the church district. Now we can go down there, and there's 2 items we need to get. The Iris of Grace and the Iris of Occultation. Now if you don't have either of those items or one of them, you're only going to have one or none of the options when you speak to Queelign in that locked door I'll show you in a moment later in this guide. So I'm going to show you where to get both of those items, so we'll get both options. But like I said, you can only use it once per playthrough. I'll show you where to get the Iris of Occultation. It's actually a drop from an ulcerated tree spirit. There's 2 in this area. One's near this big tree to my left there, and the one that actually drops the item we're after is just up these stairs here, and he'll just pop out of the ground. So once we defeat him, that'll give us the item we're after. And like I said, if you've already used it, I'll put a link in the description for other locations of these items, because you can actually use it for another quest line with Ymir and Yolan. But this one's for Queelign, and there's 2 of each of those items you can get in the DLC. Now we'll head back to the site of Grace down at the bottom of this flooded area, the Shadow Keep Church District, and I'm going to show you the location now of the Iris of Grace. As mentioned before, you can get 2 each of these items. In case you've already used it for Ymir and Yolan's questline, I'll put in a link in the description and where you can find the other 2 locations. Okay, so now that we've got both items, head back to the site of Grace and head across those rooftops again, back to these beams. Instead of going right where we lowered the flood waters, turn around and take a left. There's going to be a locked door where the real Queelign is locked behind. I'm going to use the prayer room key, the one we got as a drop from him as a spirit. Now these are the two options we're going to get now. If you've got 2 items, if you had none of them, you won't get them at all, these options. And you can only choose one option per playthrough, so you can't actually choose both options. So we'll use the Iris of Grace, and you'll be rewarded with his Spirit Ash. So that way you can summon him as a Spirit Ash. And then I'll show you the other option with the Iris of Occultation. Now instead, if you give him the Iris of Occultation, he's going to drop his weapon. So that's where you're going to get the Flame Art Greatsword, Queelign's Flame Art Greatsword, which you saw at the beginning of the clip. So there are the 2 reward options for Queelign's questline. Anyway, hope this helps. Hope to see you all next time.